This surprised me, as she had never sought my opinion before. Hiding my surprise, I responded politely, offering to help. Despite our history, I decided to see this as a positive opportunity to bond over something simple like fashion. Linda seemed pleased and led me to what she proudly called her pride and joy, a newly built walk-in closet. As we approached the impressive display of clothes, shoes, and accessories, I couldn't help but admire the lavish collection she had amassed. While I was appreciating the outfits, Linda eagerly began showing me different pieces, asking for my opinion on colors, styles, and accessories. It was a bit surreal, given our rocky history, but I tried my best to be helpful and provide thoughtful suggestions. Linda then encouraged me to look through her closet and said she would be right back. I nodded and was checking out her new clothes when I heard the pattering of feet running behind me. Before I could even look back, with mischievous laughter, Karen's son, Jake, gave me a push, causing me to stumble into the closet and swiftly locked the door behind me. I fell face first into the closet, my head and teeth hurting from the impact. At first, I heeded her advice, not wanting to give Linda the satisfaction of engaging in a confrontation. Linda continued to rant, insisting Michael should take control and not let me dictate our lives. Linda demanded that Michael open his eyes and realize that I was controlling everything, and as his mother, she should have been the first to know if her son was having a child. Eventually, her husband, Tom, urged her to calm down and drove her away. This wasn't the last time she acted out. Her list of outrageous and entitled behavior is endless. Here are a few instances. She tried to teach our baby to call her mom instead of grandma, which infuriated me. She would beg to babysit our child and then make sure everyone knew how much we depended on her. When I had health issues after pregnancy, she told me I needed to be a better mother and to get over myself. Due to these incidents and many others, my relationship with Linda has never been great, but I continued to tolerate her for Michael's sake. Recently, Linda and Tom moved into a new house and kept inviting us to check it out. We were busy, so we couldn't go immediately. Michael wanted me to go alone with our child, Emily, but I was hesitant. He urged me to go so that his mother would stop calling him to check out the new place. Begrudgingly, I agreed to visit during the weekend. Emily had a friend's birthday party that weekend, so I dropped her off and asked my mother to pick her up, since Emily loves spending time with her grandparents. It was a sunny Friday afternoon when I went to see my in-laws' new place. The property was expansive, and it seemed like Tom had spent a lot on it for his retirement. The house was enormous, with a blend of modern and classic styles. The yard was lovely, with plenty of greenery and fragrant flowers. When I arrived and rang the doorbell, Linda answered. Initially, she looked excited, but her expression changed when she saw it was just me. She asked where Michael and Emily were. I explained that Michael had an appointment and Emily had a friend's birthday party. This upset her, and she started complaining about how selfish we were for not finding time to visit her. I awkwardly changed the topic by expressing my interest in seeing the new house. She smiled sadly but invited me inside. The interior was just as impressive, with high ceilings and tasteful decor. My sister-in-law, Karen, and her 9-year-old son, Jack, were also there. I greeted them warmly, but Karen, much like her mother, never seemed to like me. Whether it was a personal issue or just to please her mom, she rarely engaged with me. Linda informed me that Tom was out with friends, so she had invited Karen and Jack over for some quality time. I nodded politely and tried to strike up a conversation with Jack about school. While discussing school, Linda abruptly changed the topic to her recent clothing purchases, mentioning she wanted my advice on her new wardrobe. 3 months later, we felt ready to share the joyous news after ensuring we had safely passed the critical first trimester. We decided it was time to share our exciting news with our family. We arranged a luncheon and invited our parents, close relatives, and friends. They arrived expecting a regular gathering, but their faces lit up with surprise and delight when they noticed my slightly rounded belly. My mother was moved to tears upon seeing me and immediately realized I was expecting. She completely understood our need for secrecy and was thrilled at the prospect of becoming a grandmother. Her joy was palpable as she expressed her happiness and excitement. In stark contrast, Michael's mother, Linda, reacted with anger and disappointment. She felt excluded and accused me of deliberately keeping her in the dark. Despite my attempts to explain our cautious approach, she remained upset and refused to speak with me for the rest of the day. Her disapproval cast a shadow over what should have been a joyous family celebration. Throughout the evening, Linda ignored me and showed blatant disrespect not only towards me but also towards my mother, who had always been kind to her. Linda remained engrossed in her phone, clearly upset and making no effort to participate in the family gathering. She openly voiced her frustration, feeling she had missed out on precious moments with her unborn grandchild. As tensions rose, I needed a moment to compose myself and stepped outside. My mother noticed my distress and came to comfort me until I felt ready to rejoin the gathering. As the evening drew to a close, Linda made a point of saying goodbye to me last, barely acknowledging my presence throughout the day. When Michael walked his parents to their car, a heated argument ensued, which I could hear from the foyer. Linda seized the moment to further express her grievances about me, escalating the already tense situation. Fortunately, all our other guests had left by then, leaving just my parents, Michael, and his parents. Linda angrily told Michael she couldn't believe I had kept the pregnancy from her, accusing me of not valuing family. Michael calmly explained that we had both decided to wait until we were sure everything was fine before sharing the news. Linda, however, was not satisfied and began yelling. The conversation went as follows. Linda, this is our grandchild. I deserve to know from the beginning. As your mother, you should have called me immediately. Mom, we just wanted to be cautious before sharing the news. Cautious? I am your mother. You should have trusted me. This is all her fault. She controls everything. Stand up for yourself, Michael. Michael looked embarrassed and miserable as his mother continued to berate him. Tears streamed down my face. The harshness of her words left me hurt and bewildered. I wanted to step in, but my mother advised me to stay quiet, knowing Linda was just looking for a fight. They locked me in the closet at my mother-in-law's request, filmed it, and posted it on TikTok. I called the police, and they were shocked. My controlling mother-in-law persuaded her 9-year-old grandson to lock me in a dark closet as a joke. When my husband wouldn't intervene, I ended up calling the police. My relationship with my husband's family has always been strained, particularly with his mother. Here's some background. My husband, Michael, is one of 3 siblings. Despite having an older sister, he was always the favorite. My mother-in-law, Barbara, exhibits classic narcissistic behavior. She often demanded gifts on Michael's and his sister's birthdays, claiming they owed everything to her. Michael shared with me countless stories of how, during his childhood, his mother would turn every one of his achievements into her own. When I first began dating Michael and visiting his home, Barbara was exceptionally kind, but her attitude deteriorated as our relationship became more serious. Over the years, her antics grew worse, hitting a peak when we decided to marry 5 years ago. Barbara's interference made wedding planning a nightmare. Luckily, Michael and I had decided to finance everything ourselves to keep family members from meddling. When Barbara attempted to change our wedding venue and layout, I politely declined. She complained to Michael, who tried to negotiate with me, but I stood my ground. For our wedding, I wanted a laid-back, fun, non-religious ceremony with a varied bridal party in a loose color scheme. My only request for Barbara and my bridesmaids was to choose dresses within the color palette and show me before purchasing. My mother and the bridesmaids showed me their selections, and I approved them all. Barbara, however, never showed me any options despite my repeated requests leading up to the wedding. On the wedding day, Barbara arrived in an off-white dress, shocking everyone. It was a mid-length dress with a sheer chiffon layer and a bolero. She looked smug as she saw my reaction. I broke down into tears, and Michael immediately asked her to either change or leave. Her husband refused to take her back, causing an argument. To keep the peace, I allowed Barbara to stay in her inappropriate dress. It was mortifying as guests noticed and commented on her attire. I ignored her throughout the event, not saying a word. Michael, though understanding my frustration, urged me to let it go, insisting I was the bride no matter who wore white. This deeply upset me as he failed to see the significance of his mother's choice. I decided to forgive her, even though she never apologized. Her narcissism didn't stop there. When we were trying to conceive, it was a difficult time. After suffering a miscarriage, I was understandably anxious. When I became pregnant again, Michael was thrilled and supportive, attending every doctor's appointment, reading parenting books, and setting up a nursery.